The High Court has suspended implementation of the value-added tax of 16%. Well, this is breaking news that we've actually received. A court in Bungoma has actually passed that particular stay order where the value-added tax on petroleum products has been suspended, and this technically means that the fuel prices might revert back to the former prices. But of course, we are yet to get more information from the Energy Regulatory Commission, that is the ERC, and it is the agency that is tasked with setting the prices for the country in consultation with the National Treasury as well as the Kenya Revenue Authority. Well, if you're just joining us, the latest breaking news we are receiving that a court in Bungoma has suspended the implementation of the value-added tax, and of course this will have huge ramifications where we've already seen a number of travel companies have increased the cost of travel. We've also seen a couple of all petrol stations have already implemented the increase in fuel prices, with a litre now going for about 130 shillings in Nairobi. Well, that is the latest breaking news we have for you for now, but we'll continue to give you more of this as we get more details. Well, still on matters business, well, Standard Group has partnered with the Kenya International Freight and Warehousing Association, KIFWA, to create a platform to educate viewers on the freight forwarding and logistics industry. Well, the partnership comes days before the Freight Forwarding and Logistics Business Summit of 2018, the first of its kind in the region, seeking to discuss challenges and technology solutions for the industry. The two-day summit will bring together government and domestic stakeholders in the logistics, transport and fleet management under one roof to review the sector's performance, as well as exploit emerging and existing opportunities in line with the government's Big Four agendas.
Everything today that we consume must move from somewhere. It must be stored somewhere. And over and above that is the fact that there's a bigger narrative that probably a lot of us don't understand about the role of the people who play in this sector. And today's partnership going forward seeks to get into this space to ensure that Standard Group will act as a platform on which the message will be clarified.
This partnership, in my view, will give us a new step in understanding where the Fourth Estate comes to authoritatively speak about this area with an aim of improving the knowledge, dissemination and content of what goes out there.
Well, indeed, some good news there for the logistics business. Well, the debate on cryptocurrency rages on as a section of economists feel the need for people and the country in general to discuss on transactions on the digital platforms. The need to demystify the fears and risks concerning the digital currency brought together different stakeholders in an indoor meeting by the Institute of Economic Affairs at a time when most economic entities are terming cryptocurrency as a scam.
The first thing that one needs to appreciate is that fintech is very, very dynamic. And fintech has resulted in improved efficiencies insofar as the provision of financial services is concerned. One component of that fintech that is important is blockchain technology, because blockchain has the potential to reduce, for instance, the clearing cycle in the payment space, and therefore provide an opportunity for the financial market players to offer financial products in a much more efficient way. Now, of course, out of blockchain technology, there are a number of things that come out, one of which is the cryptocurrencies. Cryptocurrencies, in my view, should be seen more as financial assets than currencies, because they don't meet the threshold of what you can call truly a currency. And therefore, its adoption will have to be seen in the context of how it fits insofar as the provision of a mode of payment store of value is concerned. And as I've said, given that cryptocurrencies are basically financial assets, can be very volatile. And therefore, their adoption has to have the characteristic of how will that volatility be addressed if it's not issued by a sovereign entity such as a central bank or a country. So that is the context around which you can see all these emerging technologies playing into the space of the financial markets.
Well, let's take you back to our breaking news that a Bungoma court has suspended the value-added tax on petroleum products. And of course, this is news we are receiving, and we just want to get some more clarity on this by bringing in our bureau chief in Kakamega County, and that is John Atambo. Well, good afternoon, Atambo. What do we know so far in relation to this court ruling?
Good afternoon, Abi. Now, the court this afternoon sitting in Bungoma has suspended the 16% VAT on fuel products.
Yes.
Now, this follows a petition that was filed by a youth group calling itself Sumawe. And they sought orders barring the cabinet secretary from imposing the tax, saying it was unconstitutional. Now, the petition was filed through lawyer Ken Amondi, and they argued that the tax was amounted to the breach of fundamental rights in the Bill of Rights. Yes, Abi.
So, Atambo, what has been the immediate reaction after this development?
What it is, actually, the judge has said that the matter be suspended. That's Justice Stephen Riechi. He ordered that they need to serve them, the respondents, that the Energy Regulatory Commission and the Cabinet Secretary of Treasury. That was on 4th.
All right.
The matter will be coming up for mentioning on September 12th. The immediate reaction is there has been also in Bungoma town jubilation from the motorists and saying it is long overdue.
Oh, yes.
And ideally, what we are calling for, the VAT should be scrapped altogether, not even suspended.
All right. Thank you so much, John Atambo, for that update. And let's now bring in the lawyer who actually filed this petition, and he's joining us by phone as well. And good afternoon. And in relation to this court ruling, what does it mean? Does it immediately indicate that the fuel prices will revert? All right, we'll be getting our lawyer shortly. Of course, this is a developing story where we understand that High Court has, of course, affected the value-added tax, and throughout the day we've seen long queues in petrol stations, even as motorists try to fuel up in relation to this particular matter. And I now understand that we have the lawyer online, and good afternoon. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Afternoon.
Well, Ken Amondi, you are behind this petition that was filed, and the courts have have actually suspended the tax on fuel. And in relation to this ruling, give us the nitty-gritties about it.
Basically, in the petition, the petitioner's argument was that the decision by the minister to implement the levying of VAT pursuant to the Finance Act 2013 and ultimately 2016, the argument of the petitioners was that the decision by the minister went contra constitutional provisions as to the sovereignty powers touching on the sovereignty of the people and fundamental rights in the Bill of Rights. Basically, our argument was that it was not enough for the minister to argue that the president was yet to assent to the Finance Act 2018. There is something that he could have done by virtue of Article 10 of the Constitution. Because he is a state officer, and therefore he is obliged to inculcate constitutional values and principles. And in this case, we had in mind, one, the principles of social justice under Article 10. We are talking of a situation where Kenyans have complained from all walks of life that they are overburdened. Financial experts, industry players have given comments to that effect. The people's representatives, that is Parliament, the National Assembly, has also debated the same issues and resolved that the thing of VAT be shelved. pursuant to the amended Finance Act 2018. So that our argument was that in light of that scenario, all that the minister ought to have done was basically to suspend the implementation, awaiting the assent or otherwise by the president.
All right, and Ken, for the average Kenyan who is trying to understand what has just happened, does it mean fuel prices will immediately revert to the old price or not?
That should be the implication. That should be the implication. Because the increment was basically pegged on the VAT. And then as the VAT is not being implemented, then we should go back to where we are, status quo ante. Yes.
All right, many thanks, Ken Amondi. Still stay on the line. Now we want to bring in Duncan Okach, who is also a lawyer, joining us by way of phone. And Duncan, there seems to be some sort of contention in this ruling, and I just want to understand, what is your position on this?
Thank you so much. My position on this is that a court of law with competent jurisdiction has already rendered itself in the interim and given its orders. Once a court of law has rendered itself and given orders, then the next thing that will happen is compliance. If the state will think like they do not want to comply, they have an option of going back to court and making an application to set aside those orders, and they have a duty to convince the court on the reasons as to why those orders should be set aside. But as we speak, the court has satisfied itself that on the basis of what has been filed and brought before it, there is reasonable ground to suspend the implementation. The only legal issue or practicability of that is that this particular directive has already been implemented, and it is like a stay of that particular action, which has already been implemented.
All right.
There's also the legal issue whereby a court, also of competent jurisdiction, that is a high court in Nairobi, did not find merit in that application in the first instance and said it has to be had in full. Thus, Justice Chacha Mwita said and granted a date. What will happen ideally is that these matters ought to be consolidated and heard by one judge to avoid embarrassment of where one judge will be competent jurisdiction and equal jurisdiction will give a decision which is on one side different, and on this other side you find again another judge, competent jurisdiction, giving an opposite decision. There was a time that the Chief Justice said most of these constitutional matters ought to be filed in one court, that is in Nairobi, to avoid such instances. Unfortunately, advocates thought that that was not right, because any high court has competent jurisdiction to deal with these matters, and especially high courts set up as constitutional courts, they have the mandate. So that even as I said, there is this disparity. As long as a court has said that this has granted these orders, then the government and all the state agencies will have no choice but to comply in the meantime.
All right. So in relation to this, is there perhaps headroom for another petition challenging this suspension by the High Court judge, that is Justice Stephen Reich?
What will happen is that you cannot file another petition to challenge.
All right.
Anyone who is not satisfied with that can go to the court, approach the court. If you are not enjoined, you seek to be enjoined in that matter as an interested party or as a party substantive, and you file your grounds on why the court should review those orders or set aside those orders. Failure to do that, then before that matter is had with completion, it will mean that there must be compliance with that court order. And it is only this judge who can set it aside, because you cannot go to another judge in another station to actually get an order which for us we will call a positive order, because as far as we are concerned, there is already a decision that has been made which states the implementation of this particular directive from the CS.
All right. Well, many thanks for that input. That is Ken Amondi joining us on phone. Actually, Duncan Okach, I beg your pardon, joining us on phone. And of course, we continue to stay on top of this developing story. And we can authoritatively report that the fuel tax has been suspended following 2 high courts issuing this particular verdict. And for now, the fuel prices are expected to revert to their old prices, and it will be relief for many Kenyans in relation to this particular matter. Well, in relation to this developing story, unfortunately, we will not be able to have our other guests, but we do apologize for that.